All right. Welcome back, everybody. We got Shark Nation live number 6. We've got Chrissi here with us today. How's it going?
Going great. How about you guys?
Living the dream. How's it going, Jason?
Doing awesome, doing awesome. All the stress of the Christmas holidays is over. Presents are unwrapped. Cookies are ate. Things are good. Things are good.
That's it.
My
That's
daughter
it.
said my living room still looks like Christmas blew up in there. So
Oh yeah, ours does for sure. And it's I think my wife
yeah.
was stressed about it last night. It's like, that's what it is. It's
What
just
are
you
you
just
gonna
deal
do?
with it for a
Yeah.
week.
I just jumped on a plane and jetted.
There you go. That's the way to do it. There.
That's what we do, right?
Out of sight, out of mind,
Avoid
right?
at all costs. Yeah, right.
I'm jealous. You guys are both down in Florida. It's beautiful down there. You just
Yeah.
Yeah.
ditching me in Pennsylvania here. Now I'm stuck.
I know.
But it's actually like
Hey,
51 today, so it's not too bad.
that's good.
So,
Hey, Chad and I are both here. Come see us anytime.
No, believe me,
yeah.
I got to talk to my wife. She's in. Where in Florida
All
do
right.
we want to go? Where do we want to plant that flag? We'll see. On a
Right,
future
right.
episode, maybe.
That's it. Yeah,
There we
yeah,
go.
that's your crafting a story for the future one. I like it. So that's perfect. So let's dive in here. So Chrissy, you are definitely on the offense. I mean, you've come into real estate and just taken no prisoners. You're just going full tilt here. I mean, 265 plus units this year with the team. You're still selling 90, on your own. Number one standard team in Pennsylvania. I mean, building a group of powerful women. I love everything that you're doing. I know we've been somewhat friends and chatted over the last few months, so I'm excited to kind of dive into your world today. So I think the best way to kind of transition this is like what was the journey to real estate? What did that look like for you?
Oh, wow. Well, I had no idea this is where I was going to land or even that I'd be a quarter as successful as, as I am right now. I mean, like I was in teaching. I left teaching in 2019. And I mean, I was literally at my wit's end. I was getting sick all the time. I was stressed constantly. I was, in and out of the hospital. Just my life was just really going, going downhill, spiraling. And I kind of felt like I was losing control of it. So that's when I just decided to kind of literally go back to ground zero and rebuild myself first before I even stepped foot into real estate. I didn't even know what I was going to do. My first goal was just to get sane and get healthy, and then align through that. So through that journey, I mean, I just went through so many different things. I mean, from being unemployed to being sick all the time. I ended up getting addicted to a lot of the prescriptions that they had me on. I was on 60 milligrams of prednisone a day. I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So all these things just kept compiling. I gained so much weight. And I was miserable. So I just, I step by step just stripped away. I mean, when I left teaching, I decided to go the entire holistic route and start paying attention to my health, and and that's what I did. I just, I went and I detoxed off all the meds. I'm down to, I probably went from like 30 medicines down to one or two right now, and take it as needed for my autoimmune disease. So it's just amazing. I mean, I'm a big health fanatic.
Yeah.
My first life, I was a exercise physiologist. So I mean, it's always been a part of my life. But when life gets crazy and we get desperate, even though I knew the holistic route was the way to go, I ended up trying to take the easy way out, which just led me to some of the hardest years of my entire life. When things aren't great,
Yeah.
it mentally, physically, spiritually, everything could crash around you, and that's what happened. But long story short, I just slowly started to rebuild myself, and I contributed my success with real estate into those little habits and the mindset that I built from those hard times and from kind of hitting ground zero. So, paying attention to my daily habits, paying attention to my sleep, getting being surrounded by the right people rather than the wrong people. And, you know, it slowly grew. My confidence grew. And then I was just ready to be gainfully employed. So my husband being a mortgage broker, I thought, well, go get my real estate license, you know? So I went and got my license and was like, okay, my goal is to sell, like, you know, I said, what's the average? He said, you know, a house a month. So 12 houses a year. I'm like, okay, I could do that. And just out of the gate, I just loved it. It wasn't just like a new job and a new career for me. And granted, that was all new and exciting. I also felt like for the first time in my life, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Physically, emotionally, I just, and then spiritually, I think, like, you know, help. I always loved helping people, whether it was an exercise or with teaching. Never did I understand that real estate is literally all about helping people. Like, I remember watching movies and being like, I will never, ever like do that in an open house. You know what I mean? I didn't understand the whole concept. I thought people were selling houses like you sell cars. And, you know, I just thought I didn't understand real estate at all. And now I always say that, like, it's as soon as you get hooked into helping people, and your clients become your friends, and it ends up being really fun. I always say, like, we have a treasure map, we have what we need to get you to your dream home. Now we just have to follow the steps, you know what I mean? From the pre-approval letter all the way through the whole process. So my first year out of the gate, I absolutely loved it. And I aligned with a few really good women right out of real estate school. And we ended up, you know, coming over to EXP, and that had its share of challenges from the beginning as well. But again, when you're determined and you have the right mindset, it just things happen, and things happen pretty quickly.
Yeah. That's amazing journey. I mean, I think what's interesting is, like, I mean, you know, you even talked about it relative to health, but, you know, people looking for the magic pill or the easy way, and how, you know, that kind of set you back in a sense. And I think there's principles that apply, you know, across all it's, you know, it's, we talk about real estate all the time because we're in real estate, but it's real estate agnostic. Like, it's just life, you know, life principles, aligning yourself with the right people. You know, that's a, you know, a gigantic one for us. And, you know, you're successful, and you talk about the daily habits in there, right? Like, you hear that all the time. I feel like a lot of us, and I'm guilty of it at times too, we still tend to ignore that. And we think that somebody that's successful they're saying that, but they're doing some magic solution we don't know about. But, you know, I mean, what's your thoughts on how much the daily simple habits actually affect, you know, the result, and not falling after those magic pills?
I mean, it's necessary. Sometimes, like, especially we brought some new girls onto the team and over to EXP, and even going to some of the coaching events. Like, I take what I want, what resonates with me, and I leave the rest. And I have enough self-awareness to know which things are going to really, like, click in my life, and which ones I'm like, either I'm not there yet, or it's not aligned for me. Maybe it works great for this person or that person. And I like to look all that and kind of pick and choose. But without your daily habits, I mean, for me, I'm literally from breathing techniques to affirmations to meditation to yoga, you know, tracking my sleep. I track my parasympathetic nervous system. I might be a little bit on the far end of checking everything. But when you're so sick and you're in such a bad place and you don't want to go back to that place, you realize how valuable these things are. Because when I start getting stressed and I think, like, oh man, you know, I have more properties under contract than ever, like, I have all this stuff going on, I kick into overdrive, and that's when those things start falling away. And then before I know it, I'm not allowing things to align. I'm not allowing things to manifest. I'm literally micromanaging everything and playing chess and trying to manage every outcome. And I think I have to circle back. And I don't know if everybody's like that or not, but I could almost, like, feel that fight or flight kick in. And it's like, this is not the avenue. It might be cool for like a day or so, but then after that, I gotta shut down. I gotta turn my phone on do not disturb. I gotta get, you know, down here when I'm in Florida, I, you know, walk to the beach, even if it's for 10 minutes. Right. And for me, my life goes haywire. It's amazing if you remove everything and you build an entire new system for yourself. And then you try to go back into some of those old habits that, either out of laziness or, complacency, or you're just busy. But
Right.
I will say within like 24 to 48 hours, things just go sideways. And then I'm not sleeping because I'm overthinking, and I'm up at 2 a.m. like being like, oh, if I do this, if I do that, like, and that's not, for me, that's not the way I came to be where I am and where I'm happy being. It's about stepping back. It's about, being aware. Sometimes when we get busy, or am I making those connections with my clients, especially being down here in Florida, like those are some of my challenges right now. I'm like, oh, like
Well,
I'm not.
yeah, no. So I mean, I think that what you're saying is, well, it's super important to me too, because my mom has went through something similar, always going through something similar, lupus and Sjogren's, and I, I don't. She goes super deep with it, like I'm sure you have, and hearing parasympathetic nervous system, like I actually don't even know what that is, but I've heard her say that all the time. So like, I've seen that, and I've seen the negative effects of that, and I'm sure some of that can be genetic in a way. So it worries me with the stress. I tried that was, for me, I like to just go out to the hot tub and like decompress. Like, all right, I need to today was a rough one. Water to me is super healing, even just looking at it.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the attraction to Florida, right? We get to be by the ocean.
100%. Yep. I'm a March baby.
Love it. So that's, I think in real estate, being I think it's, we say real estate's a high stress job. I think people, I think, a lot of us are more introverted than we let on, but we still love being around people. But there's kind of like a overwhelming feeling of emotions at some point. You've got to have a
Overstimulation
release.
sometimes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So keeping. Go ahead.
Look, I was going to say. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's interesting how, like just me getting into real estate, the goal was obviously just to be employed, and then I ended up loving it. And then I was like, we wanted EXP to get noticed kind of in our area in Northeast PA. And I know Jason was doing a fantastic job, and I'm like, we just got together to support each other. Like we were all pretty new in real estate. 2021 isn't that long ago. So we built a support system, and we built friendships. And it's funny because like one of the first no-nos of building any team is kind of like, you don't want to be overly emotion involved in friends, because that keeps you from making sound business decisions at times. And I absolutely have that struggle and had that struggle, but at the same time, the way it aligned was so organic and authentic that I just decided to go with my gut and trust the wave. So we didn't this is funny. I was thinking about this before we jumped on. I'm always very like having a clear intention, having a clear goal, and then putting action steps. But sometimes you have to allow yourself to flow and deviate from that just because of what's working. And that's like I've been just reflecting on like how to slowly build and grow a team, because obviously we're the number one standard team in Pennsylvania. I think we're third overall in the state, even up against Mega Icon team. So I'm really sitting at what's working, and it's the dynamic of the group. So I'm listening to all these coaches, go John Cheplek. I've been meeting with Tim and Julie Harris. I take everything, but then I also have to reflect on this is what's working. And granted, like I could see the, the 3-year, 5-year, like change is inevitable. I know there's going to be change on the team. We have 3 icons on the one team. And I know Chad, both your teams are amazing. You both have icons on there. And, I think like continuing to build the team and having the integrity that's aligned in it while still keeping the organic nature is just really, that's been the coolest part for me. And now to see just this little group of 5 girls who got together because we wanted to, hey, here we are. And then going from that to the number one team has just been crazy over the last 2.5 years.
So to touch on that a little bit, did you come right out of the gate and were you just like, I'm starting a team, or how was that journey? Did you go from solo agent? And then kind of how I started was, I was doing it on my own. I got way too busy. And then it was kind of like the team kind of started forming organically, like, I need help. I can't service everybody, right? Was it the same kind of situation?
Right. No, I mean, because for the first year there was no team. It was just me. And I did really well right out of the gate. I think I sold 11 million my first year. And then that's when we decided to just the five of us get together and just support each other and maybe get some fundraisers going and see where this goes. You know, I reached out to you, I reached out to Eric Neath, and just, you know, and the advice for everyone was, you know, take it slow. So that was our intention, just get together, take it slow. And then from there we were like, well, what are some of our goals? And our goals were to you know, support each other, to grow as a team, but also for everybody to have that drive that it's almost like we were equals from at the beginning. So it's like I have this core group of women who are very, very, very empowered, very strong. And from that, we seem to attract more of the same women. So the dynamic of the team, so I have all these alpha females, which is interesting to have all in one group, but somehow for the time being, we're making it work. And I'm realizing that, you know, if you reward people, and I'm not always greedy, we figure out ways to make it work for everybody. And that's what we've been doing. But at the same time, there is a structure, and the structure is in place with team splits and everything else for a reason. Otherwise, and I learned this after, the bigger the team grows, the more responsibility, the more I have to worry about time management, the more, you know, sometimes I'll get blamed for things that aren't, like, all the struggles as team leads that you're like, okay, I have to help empower this person, but I also have to, like, I have to put the truth on the table right here, basically.
Right.
And so, you know, now navigating that has been interesting. So now I feel like I'm learning what you said, like everything's getting so big that we just can't manage it alone. And it's happening on a couple different levels. So like I have a couple girls under me that I'm training and mentoring, and Alexis is doing the same thing. So we kind of have like everybody stepping into their strengths. And then if they're, you know, if they're a leader on the team, what are their strengths? Let them take the bull by the horns and run with it. And whether it be fundraising or, you know, Alexis came over, she was a wholesaler before she came over. So she has a whole different type of knowledge. And there's like 3 or 4 of us that have been teachers on the team as well. So, you know, I know who's good at trainings, and Bridget does trainings on KV Core, and Alexis does trainings on Skyslope. So we share the responsibilities, and then we also share, you know, all the good stuff that comes in as well.
Nice. So
yeah,
having the team, right? And like you said, you build this family and it's friends, but you know, it goes back to like loving them well, right? You know, when they're struggling, or they kind of have to have that, you know, mama Chrissi talk, you know what I mean? Like where, you know, you got to kind of give them some tough love, like having that balance as that team leader. How do you?
Well, yeah,
navigate
that's a mistake I made. So, and I'm curious what you're probably, you know, have gone through some of it, or maybe even solved it quicker. Because for me is, you know, I didn't want the job and environment. I didn't want the corporate world. A lot of us get in real estate to not have the corporate world. So when I started the team, I'm like, I don't want to be your boss. I just want to give you, you know, the elements of like the roadmap and the VA and the stuff like that, and not mess with you. Here's the lease. But what happened is, you know, what I didn't like, the real reason was to help them achieve their goals, you know, and their lifestyle that they want in real estate. But because I had no accountability to them from on my end, they ended up not achieving their goals. And as I went through the years, I learned you have to lovingly have accountability to them, or they will not move the needle for themselves. Like, it's cool that we have less friction in those years, but we didn't move the needle. Their bank account has more friction because I didn't want to have friction with them, right? Like, so what's your thoughts on that whole, you know, accountability world?
That's been definitely a learning curve for me. And I mean, I've been meeting with you guys on and off for over a year, and like I do try to learn from other people's mistakes as well, or challenges, and listen. And I definitely did that. And some of it I was already in knee deep. So,
Right.
instead of like just, you know what I mean? So like I had to make a decision at that point, like what is this going to look like? And luckily the people that are around me and continue to be around me, we had hard conversations, and we set expectations, we set guidelines, we just pretty much had to have a tough conversation individually and then as a group, and make some decisions. So once we were able to do that and the expectations all came in, because it is, and it's nice now because some of the girls that were there from the beginning, they'll literally call me and say, Chrissy, back off being mama bear. Like, you cannot, you're trying to, sometimes I'm trying to give too much. I'm trying to make sure like there's this equal balance, and that's where I just have to let go and trust the universe, and trust that, by me doing the right thing, I'm not going to make everybody happy all the time. All I could do is do my best to be honest, be fair, and be an open book. You know what I mean? Without, and then just be willing to have conversations. The other thing that's inevitable, I mean, like a lot of the girls are more than capable and just don't want to form their own team right now. You know what I mean? Like, so the time is going to come where, like Jason taught me a big deal, because I went down to his office and he's like, Chrissy, I'm an open book. I go, I have so many questions. Like, if I start, crossing lines, just let me know. And he goes, seriously. He he shared financials with me. He shared things that worked, shared things that didn't work. And I immediately, like that same week, started smallly implementing those little things. He gave me a whole different format to work with a TC and an assistant. And it saved me so much time, energy, and I'm sure money as well.
Well, I think
amazing.
like you said,
So,
I appreciate the kind words, and like I said, I'm an open book. I always tell everybody, look, it's like we all work together, right? How do we grow together? I'm going to learn from you. You're going to learn from me. We all go to kind of the same mastermind stuff, same group stuff. We're all learning, right? And then it's like, hey, what's working? What's
right.
not working, right? So, but
And it's kind of like you pick up the right book at the right time kind of thing. And then when you go back and you reread a book you already read, there's all these new lessons in it that you didn't see because you were in a different point of life. That's how I feel like my growth with my real estate and the team is. Like, I'll meet with you guys last year, and the things that were resonating were completely different, and then I was like, I
No,
got kind of system oriented.
that's
And
so good,
now, and
because
then it was like
go ahead. Sorry. That's a good
and then
one.
we have another conversation, and it's about the human condition and the dynamics. And then, so, I remember sitting at dinner in Orlando with you guys, and I'm just like, okay, this is making a lot of sense. And I need to find a way to take the knowledge that you're, sharing with me, and then applying it to my personal situation, and then weeding through that and being like, this worked, that worked. And I'm learning to be like water. So, like, things are going to change every day. Somebody could come in, like, as long as my goal is, my heart's in it to help people. So whether it be clients or girls on the team, whatever it is, and if there comes a time to move on, I'm hoping it's because of growth. It's like they're just growing in different ways. They have different interests, not because of a disgruntled person, a disgruntled employee, or however you want to say it. But at the same time, from the get-go, I'm learning, and again, kudos to you guys for helping me, is there's a way to empower, set boundaries, and set accountability. So basically, if you do these things, here's the rewards. If you don't do these things, I'm not going to chase you around and beg you to do the things that you need to do to make yourself successful. But then when you come, I'm going to point out, well, you haven't been doing this, or this. Like, let's figure out what's going on. And I also encourage people I'll see that they're stressed out of their mind. I'll say, literally, shut it down. Like, go meditate, go to the gym, start eating under control this week, and then we'll talk real estate next week.
Yeah, that's a big one. I did that in a coaching call with an agent, who came on. We needed to move forward on some of the tech setup, and I saw the mindset was just off, and some of the prospecting had fallen off. And I just took a second. I said, you got to get the 6 inches right between these ears. So take a few days, and get that straight, and let's reschedule. And it made a huge difference. It really moved the needle that much further because she got that right. But what I really wanted to dive into was kind of how you talked about hearing things, the same things, but not being, in the right spot to be receptive of them. And, I even had it with an agent I was coaching on our team. They had committed to internet leads and we're doing a lot of they were doing 60%, right? But when it came to like mastering the subject of Facebook leads, right? You've got the follow-up, you've got how you are on the phone, you've got your drip campaigns, you've got the accountability with the tasks and the manual follow-up, and then they're emailing them included in their database. And then I tell them to create video content and send that out. And what happened was all of a sudden, and I didn't even notice this until I was on this call, you look back and they switched over and they wanted to start cold calling too. And I dove into it, and for sale by owners and expired, just to be clear. And I dove into it and I said, you know what? You're doing this because you're avoiding what you're scared of. So you're doing 60% of this subject because you're scared to get on video. So you're going to go do 20% of, because you haven't built on the skill of cold calling. It's new, right? You've got to learn all the subtleties and nuances of that. So how about you cut this shit out? You do the one thing you're scared to do, and you get that 60 up to 80, 90, 100%. You commit to mastering that thing before you look at others, and I think that's, he, at the time where I had said the video stuff, there wasn't enough pain for him to hear, oh, I need to do that. Then the bank account felt pain. And then he was open to hearing, you know what, shit, maybe he is right. Maybe I should do video. But if I'd have said that 2 months ago, it wouldn't have worked. Does that make sense? That kind of little story?
100%. Yep. Yeah.
So,
it's two things that you just said. Like sometimes it's got to hit deep and hard, whether it be your bank account or your personal life, like something that's going to make you go, all right, I'm ready to listen to somebody who might know more than I know. And then, it's getting out of our own way, and we've all been in our own way before as well. But I completely hear things differently and they resonate differently as well.
Yeah. And it's funny too. And I said this on another podcast. I followed Jay Kinder and Mike Reese for a while here at EXP. And, I started getting into Chet Black a lot. I think a lot of us are looking towards him as a lighthouse in this market. I think he's a good one to listen to because he's bringing up the things that we're forgetting, the basic foundations, that we get away from, simple things that move the needle. But that said, some of the, like the 100-0 that Jay and Mike Reese talk about all the time, I heard it, but then, Chet Black gives it to you the same thing, but in a different way. And I'm in a different place. And you're like, shit, it's the same thing they were saying, but it's hitting me now. It's like, it's you have to be.
Yeah. And I love to have like the people that I surround myself with, like you guys, like we all have enough self-awareness. So when that clicks, it's like a whole epiphany. Like I didn't get that because I was there and now I'm here. And then you also see it in other people as they're coming up and it's like, you almost go, oh, like, where they're going to be in like 2 weeks from whatever situation it is. But it's a fun journey.
Here's a
look like
here's a good
brother was here. Do you see that, Jason? You see that comment? Somebody said I look like Macaulay Culkin's brother. That's a new one. I've never gotten that before. All right, cheers.
Cheers to the internet, right?
Yeah.
I got a good video hack, right? So everybody kind of gets that anxiety when you're on video. You don't like it. I don't look right. I don't feel right. I don't sound right. So, kind of what I've been coaching up the team to do is kind of get yourself in that positive mindset, get yourself going, and then do and record one video, but make it kind of generic. So then that way, when you're not feeling comfortable and all that, you could always lean back on that and send out that generic video. So for example, it'd be like, say if it's an intro video, hey, it's Jason with EXP, sorry, I just missed your call. I'm in appointments or whatever. Shoot me a text or I'll get back, or let me know when a good time is to get back to you, right? Something like generic that you can kind of duplicate in multiple situations, but you don't have that anxiety of sending that quick video every single day. You can kind of go back into your toolkit and reuse that. So
that's a great way to develop a muscle.
Yeah.
And Chrissi,
it's also
have you had all right, so a lot of agents are uncomfortable on video, right? you've just steamrolled through this real estate thing, just crushing it. What was uncomfortable for you to try and do? I'm curious about that.
From the beginning, believe it or not, podcasts. Every time I would jump on a podcast, my brain would kind of go blank. So that made me really, really nervous. I've been asked to speak at my first big event in February in Philadelphia. So, yep, I'm already visualizing because I get stage fright. So I'm already visualizing myself on the stage, letting go. I used to teach spinning to like 150 people. I'm up on a bike sweating. Why can't I stand up and talk about what I love for a little bit? So those things were uncomfortable. What's uncomfortable for me now, which is I'm going to just strip my ego away and say it. I'm working down here in Florida and going from a market that you're freaking killing it at into a brand new market really has been a horrible and wonderful experience at once, because it's putting me back to all the things I didn't know. And believe me, I know I'm not doing this super long, so which is one of the reasons I'm staying in my production for right now. But yeah, going from a market that's, you're killing it, you know about it, you have teams built, you have everything built, to a new market where everything is going to take me 3 times as long to do. I have to, and I do my due diligence. I called, 3 agents. I just can't, I'm an overachiever. So I'm going to make sure that I have all my ducks in the row, no matter what it is. And granted, like I had a great condo closing down here earlier in the year, and I'm so blessed. So staying in a positive mindset and yet being, self-accepting enough to be like, okay, if you're going to do this, it's going to be hard work, really hard work again from the get-go. But it's also making me realize the things that it's keeping me fresh with the newer girls on the team, for me to realize there's so much they don't know. And we take for granted how much we learn on every transaction. Like every little transaction, I learned so much, so many more things. So, if I could close almost like close to 100 homes this year, those are 100 extra experiences I got compared to somebody else. So on the positive end, it's really helping me connect with going back to basics for the Pennsylvania team, while at the same time keeping me humble and keeping me learning. And right now, focusing on time management, because there's just not enough time in the day to do all the awesome things I want to do.
It's all resonating.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, and so it's resonating so much. I mean, I was at the regional rally, and I've started speaking a few times. So for me, like I quit college because of public speaking, essentially. I was getting the hang of it. It was getting going, and then COVID happened. So even though I continued the video one, the in person didn't happen as much, obviously. And then I've had a little of it since, but I had the regional rally. When I heard my voice out that mic, I was like, "What is this? Is weird." Like I freeze. I understand. That resonates a ton with me. But when it's in the way of the mission, it's like it doesn't. You just and I feel like I think that's why you've steamrolled through so much of this. I mean, you look at 2 years success, and podcast shit. You're on this one like it's nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's not even a thing. You've accomplished it. Fear, and I think it's because you're just. When you have a strong enough desire to just push through, to push through the mission, whatever's in the way, it's just like, well, I'll deal with that little speed. It becomes a speed bump as opposed to a roadblock, right?
Yep, exactly. What's his name? Simon Selak. He said something. Yeah, he's one of my favorites. When you're skiing down a hill, how do these skiers like zoom right in between all those trees, like in crazy courses? It's because they're watching the path. Like you go up there and you watch the trees, you're going into the trees. And I just like, that's the way I always think. I'm like, no, I'm not going to look at this problem. Like I always say, worrying is like praying for problems you don't want to happen, or praying for things you don't want to happen. That's what worrying does. So I literally, any situation, I look at the situation, I'm like, problem solved. What action can I put in to make this better, to maybe make somebody feel better, to help be the peacemaker of the transaction, be the peacemaker of everything, get everybody back on board. But once that's done, I need to literally detach it and visualize it going up into the sky in a balloon or something, because otherwise I'm going to keep obsessing about it, and I'm going to go back to it. And well, maybe if I said this, and so I'm steering away from that, and I'm following the path. I'm not looking at the obstacles. And granted, the only thing I need to do is remind myself to pull over and take a pit stop here and there, because I'll just keep going, and I don't want to burn myself out. So I'm following the path, and trying to flow as much along it, and reflecting every time along the way, and then just detaching from. Otherwise, that's where the stress comes from, trying to control everything. The title companies have been down all week. Everybody's blaming everybody. Fingers are pointing, you know what I mean? And I could sit here and try to play the puppet master, or I could just do what I need to do and be like, okay, what's next?
I want to unpack one thing that you said, and you glanced over it, but it's not an easy thing, right? So kind of at the end of the Real Estate Rockstars podcast, they always said it was kind of always that challenge, right? You're good in your market because everybody here, but go into that other market, a new market. Really, that is kind of like the test of an agent, right? You could do it here, but could you do it there, right? And it's not easy. And the anxiety and the stress and everything else of I don't know everybody here. Am I good as I think I am? Could I do what I did here? Or is it because, you know what I mean? So how'd you get over kind of that anxiety and just that initial startup, where do I start?
The other thing is, perfect example. You guys have been talking about going deeper rather than wider, right? I do believe in investing myself, and from the get-go, the realtor leads worked fantastic for me. But what I did is I was so realtor.
Yeah. Oh, realtor.com. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Realtor.com. Just for, leads I purchased. And then, that ended up working out for me for the first year. But now I look back on my numbers. Now, I don't know, 75% are all organic leads. So why does it make sense for me to come to Florida, buy all these expensive leads, think I'm just going to take the easy way out, when up north, what worked was, okay, buying $300 worth of leads and nurturing the heck out of them and building relationships with these people and getting referral after referral after referral. And they're still sending me Christmas cards. And that's the excitement and the passion that I need to keep. I need to keep it up there, and I need to keep it down here. So why would I think paying, $1,000 a month for leads, I was just going to go out the gate? No, I should be out. So Mike and I have been talking about it. I'm going to join a pickleball league. I'm going to, get to the gym, make some friends. I'm going to start networking and just being organic. And we literally came home from the airport on Christmas Day. This guy completely aligned. He said we were in the car for a reason. He's been getting pre-approved. And so we called him yesterday morning, and he's our new client. So Mike's working with them on getting the lending. I'm going to be finding him a property. It's happening organically. That's where I needed to up it. And again, now I could take what I just learned here in Florida, and I could go back to my team and be a little bit more of an inspiration, because it's not just about, it shouldn't be a mundane process. You know what I mean? Look at your client list. Look from 2 years ago. Call people that, we love all our clients equally, but you know what I mean? People that you're really connected with, pick up that phone and be like, yo, dude, what's up? Hey, do you want to jump on a Zoom? Do you want what's going on in your life? Whatever it is, then the more organic it is, the more everything's going to flourish. And granted, sometimes you have to get into those uncomfortable places and make a couple phone calls. I remember I literally would sit on Marketplace, looking for people that I maybe knew a friend of a friend that I could contact and be like, hey, you want me to list your house? But it was really uncomfortable. And now I have to get back to doing it again and become an inspiration for others to look at it as fun. It doesn't have to be something terrible. For a while, I was putting up a block. Bridget and I would sit. She's really focused on listings. I was just taking off and letting everything happen organically. I didn't have much of a game plan, but I would sit with her. I literally would block myself from getting a listing on the other side of that call, because I was there going, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't know what to rebuttal. I'm not confident. Mm-hmm. And the more I'm saying those voices in my, I literally said, nope. And she was doing the same thing with buyers. I go, okay, you take my affirmations, I'll take your affirmations. Let's see what happens. And then I still didn't want to do it. 6 months later, I pick up I'm like, oh, it happened. It happened organically. It happened. But the other thing I personally had to do, which it was really weird to do because somebody was like, well, like, how'd you get here? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I got here. Now I'm in a position where I'm strategically planning and moving forward and taking, business advice from coaches and growing. But in the beginning, it was just like, I don't even know how I got here. So I had to like unpack it step by step and be like, oh, I did do that. Oh, I did build relationships. I'm listening to coaching and I'm going, did I even do that? Oh, that's what they mean. That's what they meant. That's when I went and took cookies over to those people. Oh, you mean because I went out and helped my brother's basketball team and I was up there and people took my business. I didn't even realize I was doing all the things that I was told to do. I must have learned them
100%.
somewhere throughout life, either in teaching or personal training. And so all my strengths all of a sudden just came to the forefront and started flourishing. But then I had to unpack them and be like, oh, these are strengths. Oh, this is what I did. And now I'm learning to take that and show other people. And maybe they're not going to do it the way I did it. Like maybe they have a whole other organic route to go, or some might be, but I'm like,
well, I was going to say, I think what you're doing and, how I respect you as a leader is it's not just, hey, do what I say, not what I do. You're out there modeling the behaviors that you want your team to do. So one of the things that I always say to my team, look I'm never going to ask anything to do anything that I don't do, right? Steve on my team was from a FISBO that I call up, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's one of your greatest strengths is it's like you're out there in the trenches. You're showing them that you're doing the work in a new market. You don't know anybody and you're growing your business down there. It's like, hey, look at just modeling. And maybe they're not absorbing everything, but just showing those daily behaviors and what you're doing is an inspiration to the team. And I think that's one of the big things to your success and why you ladies have been crushing it this year.
And don't get away from that. Go ahead.
No, really, like letting me seeing somebody else's strengths and allowing them to see their strengths and bring them to the table. So basically, everybody needs to contribute on the team. Like you need to be contributing not only production-wise, but what is your skill that you're bringing to us? Because if we're a team about empowerment and support, you can't just sit back and take, you know what I mean? Like some people track the production, some people do Excel spreadsheets, some people organize some of the team members organize the fundraisers, whatever you're good at, bring it, contribute, and you're gonna feel something out of it. You're gonna feel that confidence. You're gonna get those creative thoughts. And one of the girls was having a hard time like coming to the meetings, and I explained that, like, listen, I'm horrible with schedules. Like even having a Zoom on my schedule, I'm like, oh, so I can't go here, I can't go there. Like it's a very bizarre mindset, but just by doing that, it just helps.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, and I want to, you talk about not realizing you did. So I understand entirely. I worked a lot of Zillow, and I brought it to Florida. It was like I didn't even profit. It was. I had some team members down here. We were breaking even on it, and it gave that is when I finally started to take a second and look back at what I was doing. And when I looked back, I understand what you're saying, where it was like, wow, I guess I did do all these little things that these coaches were talking about. And because I was letting people dance around their fears, and not be the boss and not have this stuff, I wanted for them what happened for me, but I didn't hold them to the standards I hold myself to. I didn't shed the light on all the dirty nitty gritty that I do. And now, especially in the last 6 months, I've made a point to publicly, whether it's in a team huddle, whether it's in a one-on-one, as much as possible, show them where I screw up. Like, look, I did this just last week and I screwed up, but I was trying, and that's what it's got to look like. And I think, we don't often show the whole picture enough to them, and we get away from that. But it comes back to that. That's the big problem with Zillow and Realtor.com. Like, yes, the leads are more ready than most internet lead sources. That is, they're closer to making the action step than most. But granted, open houses and sign calls are even closer yet. So they're not the closest, but they are closer than marketing yourself. But they're charging such a premium for them. And on top of that, they're taking away from you the skill of marketing and attracting a client to your process and your unique culture and vibe and what you bring to the table. And that was, if I look back, yeah, we profited a lot, we did well with those, but the biggest thing that we missed was kind of control of the marketing spectrum. No matter whether you're doing networking, cold outreach, you're doing mailers, it doesn't matter what it is. When you're just paying some service, they're coming under Zillow's thing, and they're coming in, you become Uber, and that's not what real estate agents are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No. That's why branding and social media are so important. And I don't care, like, that's the other uncomfortable thing I did, especially, like, I had my daughter, like, she couldn't stand me. She didn't want to ever see me on Facebook or Instagram, and I'm like, well, this is what I got to do. I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing you. And then granted, like, in the beginning, you're nervous. Maybe what I'm saying isn't always coming out the right way, but the only way you get better at it is by talking about it, and if you're doing it on social media and you're just people just want to see that you're real and that you're, what your intentions are, what you're all about. And let me tell you, by doing that, you're going to connect with more of the right people. So the clients you're attracting, you're going to be aligned with. It makes life more fun because I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Some people are like, she's way too woo-woo, or she, this or that. And that's fine. I don't care. But so I want to attract people who are like, I think what you're doing is cool. And be like, cool, let's go do it together, and
if you do it right. If you do it right, all you're doing, I was saying this to an agent the other day, all you're doing is taking, like, if you have one-on-one dialed in, where you're authentically you one-to-one, like if we were in a meeting, me and you were, and for coffee, and we were being us one-to-one. If you're doing it right on social, all you're doing is taking that same thing and making it one-to-many. That's all you're doing. And it's hard because this live thing and putting it out there gives some type of fear that makes us wear a mask. And I say this a lot, but it's what we all battle. And, and I'm not perfect. There's times where I wear the mask, but I feel when I've had success, it's because I've gotten that mask. I've gotten rid of that mask and shown who I am on a one-to-one basis in a one-to-many format. And like you said, you attract the people you want. It's amazing when I post stuff that's truly me, how much the people that are similar to me DM me, like they're out there. They're out there.
It is. And that's exciting because it's like how great does it feel when you're like, I'm literally just being myself and people like me better than when I'm trying to, put on the mask. Right. And that's and when you feel that, you're like, oh, I'm going to keep doing this. And then and then everything just flows and you can be yourself and you don't even have to watch your words, because it's nice. I know what I know. And if I don't know, I don't know. Like, tell me. I might not agree with you, but let's have some critical thought conversation.
Yeah.
No, we're all in the game. I mean, we're all doing, we're all like, nobody's got it all figured out. Even the best coach in the world, they don't have it figured out. There's an area they need to improve on. And it's just being real and just going through it. But it is more fun going through this life together. I think, that I can be guilty of like trying to go down like this solo path sometimes. Like, I'll just do it, like, and like stay in my laser focus here and leave me alone. But it's when you achieve something in that path, it's not very rewarding as opposed to when you do it with a group of individuals and you see lives changing around you. Like that's what
that's
feeds
the magic.
The soul.
Yeah, it does. And I said, like the magic happens when you get together with the right people. So it's like, maybe you don't feel like going to the team meeting on a Saturday, 9 a.m., but at the same time, half the time people will leave there with new buyers for their listings, with more showings, like just so much collaboration goes on. Somebody's frustrated, you have, somebody to bounce it off of. Like, it's just, it really is just magic. And you just got to keep showing up for it. Even on those months that aren't, like I was telling Mike the other day, the last 2 years, I've never closed a deal in January. I don't I must just I know last year I went to Florida for 2 weeks. So whatever it was, I just, I didn't. So this year is my first, so I have a bunch of them lined up and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. This isn't so bad, but to let everybody know, even if it's during your slower months, or if it's, maybe you're doing it by choice, which there's nothing wrong with. If my daughter was younger, there's no way between her travel tournaments and everything else. So I look at other you guys, I look at other agents that just have young kids and then are still like finding that work-life balance, family life balance. It
is
blows
tough.
my mind because I have to balance with just me. Like, you know what I mean? Because like I said, sometimes I'll be like tunnel vision. And granted, I give time to, my daughter and my husband, but at the same time, it's different when you don't have to, you're not running play dates, schools, sports, making dinner. Like it's a whole other animal.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
wild
she has
world
like,
for
yeah.
sure. That's a whole podcast episode in itself. But I think, yeah, I mean, I think everybody has their own rhythm they have to find, and it changes. And I think you always have to,
Yep.
like, you have to listen to, listen to your body, listen to your surroundings, listen to what's pulling you in what directions, and just like, you know, um, you just have to, like you said, you have to be like water, right? You got to be fluid. You
Yeah, you
gotta.
just discern and flow and, move faster when it's time and slow down when it's time and, be kind to yourself too, be kind to others.
So
So,
speaking of being kind, right? We got a couple days before New Year's, right? Are you guys kind of big into the New Year's resolution thing? Anything on the activity? Uh,
not, I mean, I don't know. I I set general ones, but a lot of times I'll set them early in the year and then I'll just be like, I want to fun things. I want to we've been traveling a lot in the US, but I want to start traveling more outside the US. So we planned a trip to Costa Rica. I'm so goal oriented, like weekly, monthly, so it's not but I will set some growth growth goals and but they're a continuum. I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna, go to the gym every single day. It might be a kick in the ass to get me to the gym a little bit more, but yeah, not too much. Why would I want to change it or anything? Everything's going good.
yeah, no, I'm the same way. I can't do the New Year's resolution, just set one thing and then go for the whole year with it. I'm always like, okay, I got to tweak this, or I got to do this, or this isn't working, I got to move it. And it's like, I don't want that to be my goal for the whole year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm the same way with that. I think what I like to do though is set up like an overall focus for the year, like, like just like what, this year I'm going to focus more on my health, or this year I'm going to focus more on not blowing my money on stupid shit. That's the focus this year.
Yeah.
Like an overall theme rather than like, I'm
Yeah.
going to do this by this, and right.
I'm going to get better at numbers. That's kind of and
Ah,
I already been setting up my little numbers and spreadsheets and I'm like, all right, so I got this. So it's already in order to start in January, but yeah, I like budgeting a little bit better, keeping track of, which is something I learned from both of you, well, my husband's my accountant, so I got to watch what I say. But keeping better track of where am I spending the money and am I getting the return on it, especially in a business mindset. And you go from being a teacher making 38,000 a year to sometimes making that in a month, and it's life changing. And watching my stocks grow with EXP and like having looking into buying a condo and an investment property. I mean, like, you're talking, I'm 51 years old. My entire life changed at 50 just by, getting into this industry, doing the next right thing, aligning with the right people, getting the wrong people out of my life, getting the wrong things out of my life.
that's
I
amazing.
just aligning with God and
Yeah.
it's good
I
stuff.
want to touch on that before we leave, right? Because a lot of people
Okay.
think, and they have these negative limiting beliefs where it's like, oh, I'm too old to start now. Oh, I can't just do something like that. I got this career here, especially with like teachers and people in like, that kind of have those quote unquote like steady, sturdy jobs. They don't feel comfortable taking that leap of faith or having that faith in themselves to do something new. You always see that with New Year's resolutions where it's like, I want to quit my job and do real estate or whatever. How'd you go from
I honestly
that jump?
think that's probably the most important thing that in my life. It's that limiting belief system, because I could have laid all of the other groundwork, every single thing that I've done over the last 2 years. If I did it with a different limiting belief system, I wouldn't have gotten a quarter as far as I've gotten, because I just had a scarcity mindset. I was taught, get a job, make sure you have good insurance, a 401k. So breaking away from that and getting into a commission-based industry was extremely scary for me. But it was strange because I've always had an entrepreneur mindset, but with the fear-based, non-abundance thinking over here. And so the first thing I had to work on is I am worthy. I am worthy. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. And but the thing is, you can't be sleeping till 10 a.m., drinking, until 2 a.m. the night before. You can't be doing those things and really expect your life to be the best, show up as the best version of yourself. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in order to feel good about yourself and be worthy, you need to be having the discipline to do the things that make you feel that way. So I think that was the first step. And the other thing is just attracting abundance. Money is just freedom. It is not something bad. And as long as you could decipher between greed and growth and freedom, I think that's the thing. And then I attract abundance of health, wealth, and joy every single day. I will say that about 15 times throughout the day. Whatever is meant for me, nobody can take away. Therefore, that takes away competition across the board, because whether it be somebody on my team, another client, I let it go. If it was meant for me, it would be there. If it's not meant for me, it's okay. That's just not in my plan. And if I keep those deep-seated beliefs, and even if you don't believe it, nobody's going to believe all that positive crap right out of the gate. You have to kind of trick your brain into believing it. And then once you feel that glimmer and you can picture that whatever it is that whether it be something physical or maybe you have to attach the feeling to it. So for me, maybe it's a listing, maybe it's a closing, and I feel what I feel. I feel joy for helping the person on the other side. I'm so proud of myself. So I feel that, and the more emotion you could attach to the visualized goal and acting as if it's in the present, that's where the magic happens. And then each time it happens, it builds your faith. It's like believing in little miracles. If you have one miracle, you're like, oh, okay, well, we could do that again, maybe a little bit more. And then it grows and grows. And by the end of it, you're just like, man, if I'm aligned, and I could pretty much achieve just about anything that's out there.
Getting a small win, like you said, shows yourself the confidence that, yeah, I can do it, right? And this is, I'm pointing in the right direction, so having that early win is always key. But yeah, no, I love it. I mean, this is what happens when all three of us get together. We kind of we could talk for hours and hours, and we definitely want to be respectful of your time. Definitely appreciate you being on the show, Chad. Anything else that you want to say to wrap it up for today?
Yeah, I think it's sorry for reading some of these comments here. I think it's I guess I unfortunately have one more question, and then we'll roll it out. So you talk so much about alignment, and you kind of dove into that, but like in the simplest form, because I think when people hear it, there's so much different meanings they get. In like a sentence or two, what is your way of describing alignment? And how you view it?
Alignment is just aligning. I mean, it's aligning to your to your highest self. So if you're showing up and to speak, are you showing up as the best version of yourself? Is the first thing. Are you making good choices? The decisions that you make, they are going to align you with integrity, and then from those steps, eventually, what is meant for your path connects. So now you have a literal connection of who you are or who you want to be as the best version of yourself, connecting with the life that you want to create, and the right people are coming into it. The main key is effortlessly. If I'm feeling like I am trudging, time to slow down, pull back, try to get some flow, versus, because life's not supposed to be that hard. Granted, we have struggles, we are human, but at the same time, it's just about self-awareness and learning lessons. And as you learn those lessons, we'll go on to the next one and allow your life to flow and align just by being the best version of yourself.
Yeah, and because I see it a lot in what you post and have, and you align and hustle is what I always see from you. Like, I just remember that from your, that's your brand in my mind, from my viewpoint, from what I see. So note to yourself that's working, because I see it. But
Yay.
and I think I love hearing from from the source what your view. So really, just staying in touch with who you actually are and staying aligned with that. No,
Yeah,
that's good.
I
That's
keep
good
getting
because
better.
I think that's something I got away from for a while. I'll tell you, when I hit some goals, I think I got away from who I am at my core for a bit. And I think, and I liked when you talked in the beginning about setting the right foundation before you do what you're going to do, and how you did that, kind of unknowingly. And that was your, that's, I think we underestimate the importance of core values and aligning with what your true self is, and setting that, writing it down almost, and being in touch with it. Like, we don't do that
100%.
enough. Right. And when you get that right, the rest follows. Like, that's why success is not pursued, it's attracted. A great line from Jim Rohn,
Love it.
so I love it. I appreciate
getting with the tribe, right?
All right.
Aligning with the tribe
Yep, first.
around, for sure. So.
That's it. No,
All
I
right.
appreciate you.
Well, thanks
so
for
much.
having me on, guys.
All
Yeah.
right. Till next time.
Let's do it again soon.
Yes.
All righty.
All right.
Sounds
Take
good.
care.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see
Bye.
you.